As a guide, my job is to keep people on fish and catching them. Fishing on Mille Lacs, really, really easy if you got the right equipment. I wanted to share with you guys a little piece that we've been using all year long. It's drift mode from the new Quest series at Minn Kota, and it is just a phenomenal feature. It's a beautiful way to fish. So when everyone else is drifting with the wind, rinse and repeat, and they're doing the same thing over and over again, driving those fish out every time they do that, you can come through there and zigzag it. You can stay on the fish longer, you can work the spot longer, and with traditional drifting, you have to fire up your motor, go back up, and then drift all the way back down. With this, you don't have to do that. Now, all we do is hit a button. You can stay there and fish the whole time. And that's truthfully the cool part about this. So before with drifting, you had to rely on Mother Nature so much to, are we going this way, are we going that way, or you wouldn't even fish certain spots without a certain wind. I mean, that was drifting in a nutshell. Now, you can fish any spot you want, anytime you want, by simply hitting a button with control. That's the thing that everyone's missing is you can set it at a ½ mile an hour. You can set it at 3/4. You can do spinners, you can do rigs, you can do jigs, you can do all these things that before you were waiting for the right wind, you were waiting for the right light penetration on the piece of structure. You're not just blowing in the wind on a drift. And again, there's so many spots with the drift mode that I'm able to fish year round now instead of just with certain winds or at certain times. So typically we throw out our old crusty drift stock and start those drifts, and whether you're rigging or jigging or whatever, these things, they serve a purpose. Don't get me wrong, they serve a purpose, but now all we gotta do is hit a button and control those drifts with far more control, better speed control. That's the amazing part about this is when you need to go a ½ mile an hour on a drift, now you can go a ½ mile an hour on drift. You don't have those wave surges. Absolutely awesome. Hit a button, start drifting, and you don't have to have, we used to have 6 drift socks. A couple for trolling, different size for different winds. You know, if it was really honking and you had a 30 mile an hour wind and you're trying to rig, we would have up to 60, 70, 80-inch drift socks out. And you can imagine these things get in the way, especially if you have a fish on and you have a couple of lines out and you're trying to maneuver and bag the fish in between drift bags. Really gets annoying sometimes. Fish get caught in them, hooks get caught in them. If you can just eliminate that piece and just hit a button, you're gonna catch more fish and you're gonna have a way, way better time out there fishing. So I talked about how to lay out a piece and how you're gonna tack a piece of structure with drift mode. And we have the wind coming in from the southeast right now. And here's the piece of structure that I'm gonna lay on right now. So we stopped here, and here's where I wanna drift, back and forth. We have the wind coming, it's from southeast, and now the motor's gonna pull us back and forth, keeping us in where the fish are. So all I simply do is hit my drift button, and you can see I have jog and I have angle. Right now, if I need to jog forward or back on my track, I can jog left or right, 5, 10 feet. Right now, I just said 10 feet. I'm jogging 10 feet right now. If I want to adjust my angle, quite simply, let's go left or right, 5 degrees, 10 degrees, and that motor will ultimately adjust you again to dial in that drift. And I'll just start down the drift. On my first drift, I just adjust it minutely, and then that lays my trail down, and then you just keep rinsing and repeating that and extracting those fish out. You don't have to worry about casting bags out. You don't have to worry about running the trolling motor against drift bags and this and that. You simply hit a button and let the motor do all the work outside of a few minor adjustments. You see with the new remote, really easy to function. Everything you can reach with your thumb. That is, for a good remote, I always look for what I can hit without even looking at it. And this is exactly like touching my cell phone. I have my poignant buttons right here. I just know what I'm hitting. My 3 presets down here. My favorite part, 1 button, and I'm stowing, trimming, or trimming down. That is my favorite button right there. And that lets me trim up when I get in shallow, trim down, and vice versa, and stow when I need to. It's really well thought out. My other cool part is the AA batteries. I can replace batteries on this whenever I need, and I get about a straight month worth of guiding out of 1 set of batteries, which is absolutely cool. No more recharging at the end of the day and things like that. I simply just power it off, put it away, and I never have to worry about running out of batteries. There's one. Oh, yay. Well, right there is drift mode at its finest. And just check all these fish all over the place. And so here's what it was. We honed in on our drift and kept shrinking it in, and got the productive area down, and that produces walleyes left and right. When you're drifting, you have a hot section of fish where you get bit every time you go through that section. And what drift mode does is it keeps you in those fishy sections longer, and that's what's key with this. Because a lot of guys will go, I'm gonna continue to use my drift bag, and that's fine until you see a guy with drift mode and he's catching 2 to 3 times the amount of fish that you are. And the reason is he's staying in that sweet spot of that drift longer. It's just as simple as that. Another good thing to note is this is available on Quest, non-Quest motors, your one boat network. So if you want to control it off your phone, you can do that, and on your Humminbird fish finder. So get out there, get familiar with it, and start catching more fish with drift mode.